Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your lunch break to be a part of this live webinar. Today, we're going to be talking with Laurette Lee about steps to achieving your dream job. So just a couple housekeeping items before we get started. Everyone that has signed in is being muted with no video. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box, and we'll get to them at the very end when we do the Q&A portion of the webinar. So I encourage you to stick around for that. Also, if you like, you can also select the speaker view instead of the gallery view at the top of your screen. It'll allow you to see us a little bit better as we're chatting, but feel free to do whatever works best for you. So for those that haven't met me before, I'm Sharon, and I'm the owner of an interior design company here in Edmonton called Weaver Design. We're a full-service interior design company, so we do everything ranging from paint consultations, window coverings, to construction drawings, project management, basically the full scope. So anything related to interior design, we do. So we started doing these webinars a couple months ago. I'm really passionate about supporting our communities and other local businesses. And given everything that's happened in our communities due to COVID, I really wanted to do something to help these small businesses, because I do believe that we're a lot stronger when we are together and helping each other out. So our first webinar was with Michael Draper. He's a real estate agent with Edmonton HQ. And then we also did one with Ashley McCarney, who's an HR consultant and owner of Involvi Consulting. So if either of those topics interests you, you can watch the recording on our website. So weaverdesign.ca/webinar. You can also find it on our YouTube channel as well. So just search Weaver Design and that should come up. So I think we've all had that moment where we didn't know what we wanted to do for a career, or maybe you've done the schooling, you've landed what you thought was going to be your dream job, and it just wasn't quite what you expected it to be. So I think it's important to find that job that excites you, it challenges you. But I think you also need to plan for it. It doesn't necessarily just happen. I think we all strive to some degree to find that sense of purpose in our job, something that makes us want to get up in the morning. But oftentimes we don't know what that looks like or how to get there. So today we're going to be chatting with Laurette Lee, who's an employment specialist and owner of Phoenix Career Development. So she's going to be giving us some advice and talking about some different steps that we can take to move towards having that dream job. So welcome, Laurette. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Sharon?
I'm doing pretty good for a Wednesday.
For a Wednesday.
For a Wednesday, yeah, the middle of the week. So before we dive in, can you explain to us a little bit about what an employment specialist is and who can benefit from your services?
An employment specialist provides service and information to job seekers and honestly people that just hate their jobs in all aspects of their employment search and career planning. So I'm the middleman between you're done your education or you found your dream job but you hate it. What next kind of. So I'm the development of your career. And it's funny because a lot of people at the end are always like, oh, well, did your client get their dream job? It's about the journey to get your dream job. Are you having fun along the way? What are the steps to get your dream job? Because it's not about the dream job, it's about the journey to the dream job. And then when you get to your dream job too, continually learning and growing. You're never done career development.
No. No, it's definitely a process. And I know for me, like, it wasn't something that I knew I wanted to do right away. It definitely was a journey to get to where I am today. And I'm still learning and growing and evolving. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. So I remember, like, in high school, I had to take comm class, and part of the career development portion of that is we all had to take these personality tests. We answer all these series of questions, and then the idea was that at the end of that, you kind of be put in these different categories of what your ideal job is. And it would say, like, okay, you're meant to be a police officer, you're meant to be a librarian, or whatever it was for you. What can clients expect when they come to you trying to figure out what that job is for them? What's your process look like? Are they doing personality tests? Yeah, what does that look like?
Well, I teach 10 classes and they're very much like everything that you need to do career development with. So it always starts with career planning. How are we planning your career, right? Because that's what we're here for anyways, is what do you want at the end of the day? The hardest thing that people can ask themselves is, what do I want? Which is actually the most simplest thing as well. So that's why there's like a gray area and why career development is so hard, because it's so easy at the same time, because it's about like the inner demons within, or just personality of who you are. So career
Yes.
planning is the first one. Let's have a conversation about where you want to go. And then the second class is personality and authentic happiness. So within that one, I teach the Holland's code. So it's just a really simple test that gives you a 3-letter code that then gives you exactly what you're saying, like job titles that you could be interested in. And then I also teach on Myers-Briggs too, i.e. your personality affects what you do as well. And the funny thing is, everyone keeps forgetting about values in life. So, truthfully, it doesn't really matter what job that you do, as long as the job lines up with your values. So, if a company has your top 4 values and you have your top 4 values, you're staying there forever. But if one of your values is hurt by a company, well, you're not staying there. So, it's about even discussing what your values are in life. And I've asked tons and tons of my clients, what are your top 4 values? It's really hard for people to actually know what their values are in life. Like they're like, I think I know, but I don't know. So I
Yeah,
actually
it's
like,
different when you have to actually step back and take a
right?
look
Wait
at
a
it.
minute,
Like,
this is really hard.
I don't know.
So I also have like a test that's just like, let's give you your top 24 values and then which one's the most important. So it's from most important to least important. And so once you have that tool, you can go on to like the other steps of career development. So the third class is the hidden job market. So what does that look like? And it's just funny because half the people know what a hidden job market is, half the people aren't really sure. But the iceberg, like these are crappy jobs on Indeed. Underneath are like the really good jobs that no one talks about and they're hidden, right? So there's a format to cold calling. I teach that in the hidden job market. And it's not, hey, can I have a job? It's, I would like to learn more about this company. I would like to see if it aligns with my values. So people aren't even having questions anymore about their values with an employer. But I'm like, let's have those conversations because then you'll stay at a company for longer. So for his labor market, there's a lot of trends going on, especially because of the pandemic. What are the trends? And so everyone's like, well, I don't know, they're new and emerging. They're trends, they exist, and there's a way to figure it out. So that's the fourth class. The fifth class is resumes. And it's funny because as an employment specialist, people find out I'm an employment specialist and they want to give their resume to me right away. I'm like, well, I don't know you. I don't know your personality. I don't know if it's a good resume. So I talk about matching with the company on your resume. And my last client gave me a really crappy resume. And I was like, this is terrible. And she had management experience, but she's like, it's a throwaway resume. Your resume is like an imprint, like a textual document about who you are. So like make it really precise, like make it really authentic. Have those sentences like really refined to be like, and this is what I do and this is how amazing I am. I also think a good LinkedIn goes a long way. So like a good network.
Yes.
So they go hand in hand, right? Even when I talk to clients, oh, they go to my LinkedIn right away. I know, right? They're like, oh, I looked
I
at your
think we all
LinkedIn.
do it. Yeah.
Right? We all do
Who
it.
are you?
Really nosy. So that's 5. 6 is like where the fun comes in because it's like the last half. So 6 is about marketing yourself. How are you doing your elevator pitch, right? And it's just funny because most people suck at their elevator pitch because they haven't refined it. But like I have 2 elevator pitches. I have numerous elevator pitches. Like it's a part of me. It's like living and breathing. So one of my elevator pitches are for clients and one of them are for like other building partnerships and stuff like that. So like even understanding your elevator pitch has like different areas to it and stuff. But my first client, he actually stuttered in life because he had a car accident, but I gave him his elevator pitch. He worked on it. He no longer stutters. It's like the best feeling ever when your client
That's awesome.
exceeds above exceptional qualities or whatever. So it's really easy to market him. He's doing really well in his career development. He's super picky. So like he doesn't have a job right now, but he's like, oh, I did Toastmasters and I did this and I did that. So again, it's not about, oh, the job. It's about the process along the way. Because if he really wanted a job, he would have gotten one like tomorrow, but he's picky. So some people are like, no, I don't want that job. I don't want that job. So it'll be neat to see where he ends up, but he's
Mm-hmm.
definitely taking his time to like really develop something that he loves.
I think that's great. He's not settling for the first job that comes his way. And not everyone has the flexibility to
Right.
wait
Some people
for
need an
that.
emergency
Yeah,
job.
they need it right now.
Yeah. I'm okay
And then
with
while they're there, then they look for something better.
exactly. 7 is work search basics. Looking for a job is a full-time job, and so many people
Mm-hmm.
don't even plan what it looks like to look for a job. So I kind of sit down with a client, or we make a schedule during the week what it would look like to like look for a job, do the research on the job,
Right.
call all the nitty-gritty stuff. 8 is interview techniques. So yeah, there is secrets to interview techniques. Really good interviews are 50-50. You let them talk half the time, you talk half the time. And at the very end, when they ask you any other questions, you always say yes, and you have your back pocket like value questions because you want to know if you match the company, right? So just
Absolutely.
little tips and tricks. 9 is employment standards. It's your right as a Canadian to know what your like employment standards are. And so many people are like, I think I know. But then when something happens in the workplace, they're like, I feel like this isn't cool. And I'm like, yeah, so figure it out before.
Yeah.
It's a really dry class, and it's the 9th class. So I kind of like, here's the resources. Any other questions? Do you know what I mean? So there's a Q&A within employment standards because it's like, do you really need to get all the information, or do you have other information that you want to ask me? Because I'm a professional employment specialist. Like, let's do an open-ended Q&A kind of deal on the 9th
Mm-hmm.
one. And then 10th is the last one. I saved the last one for best, which is strategies for success. So what do you need to do to be successful? I teach on SMART goals. And honestly, there's like, I don't know, 10 strategies where I'm like, this is a good strategy. This is a good strategy. This is a good strategy. The most important strategy that I've learned is attitude. So if you have a positive attitude, I can tell if you're going to get a job really fast or, it's going to take a while. So yeah, that's what my programming looks like in a nutshell.
Okay.
But I like it. It's really fun. I take
didn't
my
realize there's so many steps.
There's a lot of steps, right? And everyone's like, oh, can I take 1 or 2 classes? No, it's a program. You have to like take all the classes to understand. And another thing is, it's not like career development is super abstract. So it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4. You can be on 4, and then you can be on 1 again, and then you can be on 3, and then you can hit 5. Like, you need to know all the steps, but you don't have to do the steps in order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all kind of work with each other. So I get why you say like, no, you can't just like pick and choose your classes. They're all part of that process. So you kind of need to do them all, and how you decide to do that, I guess, is up to them.
They all build on top of each other. So one theory, because it's all based on theory. So another thing with my programming is the first 10 classes are theory. So you guys learn about the theory of it. Then I let my clients have about 1 or 2 months to like try it on their own. And then if they need more consulting with me, it's whatever you need, like an hour in a week to do career development, but you get to tell me what you want to work on. So that happens eventually once you've done the programming as well.
Gotcha. So are these classes one-on-one, or is it usually with a handful of people at the same time?
I do both because I want to give people options, because I believe in the network of other people. So like I teach the classes in class, which is still Zoom. That's about 2 hours to work with like about 10 people in the same group. And obviously that's cheaper, but to get more out of it, the one-on-one is better, because especially if someone's a manager, they don't want to tell their griefs to other people, right? So I do have both, like class. This one pretty much is for students or people just transitioning, that they don't have like a solid base of their career yet. They're developing their career. And then the people over here, they've developed their career. They kind of know what they want to do, but they don't know how to do it. So I offer both in class and like one-on-one consulting.
Okay. Yeah, I'd imagine it's very different whether you're just starting out or you've kind of established yourself already, because you're at very different places in your life. And as a student, I mean, it's tough because everyone wants somebody with experience. And you're like, well, how do I get that if no one will hire me?
I've lived I can't get a job because I don't have experience.
Yeah, this loop.
I did that in like career development. My first job in the field, they even said, well, you don't have experience in the field. I was like, excuse me, I have my career development diploma. I have like facilitation experience, I have this. So like when someone says you don't have experience, you can always be like, excuse me, I volunteered or I did this. Because
Right.
that's the hugest pet peeve, I think, with everyone. Well, I can't get a job because I don't have experience. It's so annoying. I have been there. But
Yeah, and that's probably part of,
yeah, that's part of career development. That's
yeah,
part of breaking the cycle and being like, actually, you say this, but I'm going to say this back to you. Another
exactly.
thing with career development is you're going to get a no a lot. Like, no is the definition of career development. You only need that one yes, right? So I even talk about you're going to get no, and you're going to get no, and you're going to get no. So what's the strategy to no? Next opportunity.
Absolutely. And I'm sure right now there's a lot of people looking for jobs right now, whether it's, people looking to change their career, maybe they're unhappy where they currently are, maybe it's just the company that they're working for that they're not finding they fit very well. And as much as we're probably tired of talking about it, COVID is still very much a part of our world right now. And a lot of people have unfortunately lost their jobs.
Mhm.
And you were talking a little bit about marketing yourself to potential employers and having that online private presence, that elevator pitch. Are there any other tips that you have for people on how they can market themselves?
It really is a belief in self at the end of the day. Like, do you believe that you can get this job? Because if you don't
Yeah,
believe that you can even get the job, why are you applying for that job?
absolutely.
I do talk about the tips of yourself and understanding yourself and really the development of yourself, because career development is a development of yourself at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Does that answer
Absolutely.
your question? Is that a
I
good?
think, yeah, that's a good answer.
Okay.
If anyone has any other questions, of course, you can reach out to us if you want to know more about that.
Mhm.
Um, So I'm sure the most stressful part about finding a job is the interview process. Some
Mhm.
people do really well with that and they can walk into an interview, feel very confident. They don't have to prep very much. They're good with being put on the spot. I know for me personally, I'm not that way at all. I'm quite nervous in interviews, so I always feel like I have to over prepare and plan for every possible question that I could be asked and how I would respond to that. And everyone has that different process of how they deal with that. Do you help? Well, it sounds like you do. Like you helped your
Absolutely.
clients with that process,
So,
and do you provide tips on that?
oh, for 100%. There's a whole
Okay,
class on that. Do you know what I mean?
perfect.
It's important to understand, like, people that are interviewing you could be nervous about interviewing you as
Very
well.
true. Yeah.
And like, also the secret is just find a hit point. Like, find something that they believe in, find something that they like, right? So if you find like a commonality within your interview, which also could just be like if someone is like scratching their ear a little bit and you're just like, that's a commonality subconsciously, and they'll be like, I like that person. So it's kind of about understanding and reading the room and seeing what's going on. Also, my little tip is companies have colors. Do you know what I mean? So my colors are like black, blue, and red. Wear the colors of the company because it's
Mm.
subconscious, right? You're like, oh, because there's times where I'm like, oh, this company's like color is blue. I'm wearing blue. Oh yeah, I got the job for sure just by like probably wearing this dress, or you know what I mean? It's very like there's lots of things that go on subconsciously within an interview, but if you think about it consciously, like, oh, this is the colors of the company, this is the mission and the value of the company, always like tell the company their mission but make it your own, because then it's like,
Right.
oh, she believes in this, we believe in this. And at the end of the interview, you're allowed to ask what's the next steps, or you're allowed to say, I would like this job, when are you going to hire me? You can be cocky if you want to, it just depends. And I've done it both ways, but the more I ask for a job when I'm desperate, the more I get the job. They're like, oh, she's clearly interested. So like
Yeah.
a little
Just
cocky
fighting
goes
for
a
it.
long way. Yeah, but like wholeheartedly cocky does not get you anywhere. So there's this game within an interview, but you can
Absolutely.
figure it out. I had the same interview for Boyle Street as I did with like Braden, which is like top quality employment specialist. And Braden, they work with homeless people. This was a terrible interview for me because I was like, I want to help people find and define their careers. Boyle Street, they just want jobs, right? And like, that's not what career development is. So this was a horrible interview for me personally. And this was a great job for me. So it just depends. Like, give permission to have crappy interviews as well, Because if it's a bad interview, you don't want to work there. That's the secret too, is like not being so invested in the interview. Like if it's a bad interview, it's probably a bad job. That's like yep. And there's lots of bad jobs out there too, right? You don't want to waste your time. So give permission to have a crappy interview at the same time.
Yeah, and it's just, I think it's remembering that just as much as they're interviewing you and trying to see if you're the right fit for their company and their culture, it's also for you as well. You're also in a way interviewing them and learning about the role and learning about the people that work there to see if you even want to work there. Because even though you might check off all the boxes in terms of your resume and what the job is asking of you, you still have to be a good fit with the company and the people that are there, because that's a huge part of it as well.
Like, if you have the interview, they think that you can do the job. Do you know what I mean? The interview is not can or can't I do the job. The interview is just your personality. Mm-hmm. So I would say be as personable as you need to be, know who you are, and really sell your who you are, like your authentic self. Like sell all your values, sell all your I don't know what the word is. Just who you are, your core root of what makes you you. Attribute. Okay. That's the one.
Exactly. That's what they're looking for. Like you said, like you've already checked all those boxes. They know you are going to fit in terms of your experience. It's just, do we
like you?
We click together. Yeah. Do we like you? What is your personality like? Yeah. And so I think it's important to show that side of yourself so that you're both, kind of aware of what you're like, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And being confident and, like I said, dress professionally, but dress to also suit the job that you're applying to.
And like, this is where I jump in. And so old school theory used to be like, you only get one chance to make a really good impression. New theory, sponsored by me, is you can make a terrible first impression, wait about a year, apply again. No one will know you there. Do you know what I mean? So I encourage people to fail often, and then try again. So for me, being an employment specialist, I know I applied it like McBride over 16 times, got rejected 16 times, but I improved each time. So have the faith to make really big mistakes, like oops, and then try again.
Yeah, that's anything in life, right? Get up and try it again. You're always learning something every time. And even if it's not the right fit for you to work at that job, it's still good practice to be put on the spot and answer those questions. And you only get better every time you do it. So it's never a bad thing.
Like when I got my first employment specialist job, I was like so excited, but it was only a contract for 7 months. So then after getting my dream job, I got like my contract ended, and then I had to find another dream job within industry. And I'm like, and an employment specialist. So this is where, but I found the perfect job because I know how to network and market and stuff. But like part of the scariness of life is you can have your dream job, but you might not have it forever. So like the only real security, and where I usually push people, is being an entrepreneur and like making those 7 streams of income. So a lot of my programming is like, you want a job? That's cool. What about 7 streams of income too, right? So what's your side hustle in life as well? So I kind of teach on that too as well. Like understand life is not guaranteed anymore. You have to kind of create your own stability because a company can't do that for you anymore.
As we're noticing now, right?
That's just what's going on. That's the general trend.
There's so much craziness going on in the world right now. And unfortunately, no one's 100% secure, no matter how many years you have with that company. So you need to always have some kind of backup plan. And if you can do some kind of side hustle for extra income, or maybe that's really what you're passionate about, and then your main job is mostly just about making the money and going through day to day, then maybe that's what it looks like.
I never tell anyone to quit their job, right? Because that's their sense of stability, that's their money. I just say, what does it look like to develop your job if you're going to change and grow? You can still stay at the same company, but you might need a conversation with the manager or with the boss, just being like, where else can I fit in this company and make more money? You know what I mean? And people don't even have those conversations anymore. So it's a process. You're never done career development. You just get better and better at it.
Absolutely. And being bold within your company when you do have that job to ask for those raises and ask for a different position that's maybe a little bit higher up. they're not always going to come to you. So I think it's important to say why you deserve to have that position and move up and work towards where you want to ultimately be.
And that's why it's important to understand your elevator pitch, to understand your values, to understand you at the end of the day, and actually to understand the base of your career planning. What are you shooting for your life? What do you want to create? Like, there's so many people that haven't even asked themselves that question in life. In 10 years, where am I going to be? Well, I don't know. But you can plan that. There's steps, right? So
Yes,
I encourage that conversation.
Yeah, that's a tough question to ask yourself.
Right?
I often don't know what I'm doing next year, never mind 10 years down the road.
Oh, I know 10 years down. I'm very highly like active and planning.
Well, that's good. Yeah, so thank you, Laurette, for answering all of those questions and talking to us about the different tools and strategies for career development. I hope all of you that are watching this have learned something new as well. So like I said, so we do have a chat box if anyone wants to ask any questions. I did see one come in for you, Laurette. Just asking about like the job market right now, and I'm sure that's kind of pointing towards COVID and everything that's happening. So what do you see that's happening in the market?
So I would always say changing and growing. Do you know what I mean? And it's just funny because the jobs in, let's go 2002 to 2006, the most jobs that were really, really wanted in 2006 didn't exist in 2002. So this is a normal trend. Do you know what I mean? Because we're like changing and growing all the time. So right now the trend is use your own adventure. Like, start doing what you want to do, make some money off of that. Like, companies are closing. That's a fact. So like, be an entrepreneur. I have a feeling the trend of entrepreneurship, like right now in Canada, it's about 15% of people are entrepreneurs. It might actually raise to 30%. And like, I'm shooting in that direction. I'm trying to be like, hey, people, that person's not stable, that company is not stable, but you understand who you are. You can make your own money. It's just an exchange of goods and services, right? You do a service or you have a good, someone gives you money. So I kind of encourage like streams of income and like just putting your own life in your own hands. Being an entrepreneur like was the best thing I ever did for myself. I had to work the crappy jobs to understand how to be an employment specialist. I had to do the education to become like an employment specialist. I'm full blown. I'm certified in my industry. But once you are and you do the dirty work for 4 years, open your own company or like learn how to write a book. Do you know what I mean? Take some steps to do personal work. So I think that the labor trends are really that is personal responsibility and taking responsibility and starting own companies. There's going to be a lot of like underground secret things going on that could be really positive or could be really negative. It's kind of how do you want the trends of the labor market to go right now?
Absolutely. Now's like the best time to take that step back and pause for a moment and like, what do I really want? And am I happy where I'm at? And maybe you can't find that on the job market. So create it yourself and start your own company. But I realize that's not for everybody. It's
not for everyone.
Own challenge. You
Yeah.
need to be quite self-motivated. There's a lot of stress that comes with being your own boss. So not everyone does well in that.
Yeah. Part of COVID, because everyone had to stay home, a lot of people did personal development work. Do you know what I mean? Within their life, within their house, i.e. exterior design. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's a mirror of personal development work in people. And so things are going to change and grow based off of, I honestly think the COVID situation might have leveled people up to understand who they are and have tough like questions to themselves, because the quietness of life defines who you are. So there was a lot of quietness this year.
Yeah.
So I'm
Too much,
excited
maybe.
to see what the right, there might have been, but it's very fun and exciting. The direct answer to your question is, yeah, like it's exciting if you want it to be exciting. It's scary if you want it to be scary.
Absolutely. Yeah, normally we're so busy and just on to the next thing all the time, both with work and then personally, that we don't usually get those opportunities to just pause and reflect. So I think there's definitely some good things with what's kind of been happening. And even as business owners, a lot of people have had to shift how they do their business and reevaluate things and what's the best way to reach their customers. So there's definitely a positive side to this and an opportunity to grow and learn.
And it will be tough next year. So like try and save this year. Like I'm low financial literacy as well. Do I teach on it? No, like that's not my area of expertise, but like money comes into play. Be wise with it. Take some financial literacy courses, understand like who you are and how you're spending money so that when times get even tougher, because they will get tougher, how am I going to thrive then? You know what I mean? Start asking your questions now, because later on it might get worse, but it might get better if you plan earlier.
Exactly. Planning is everything. And unfortunately, not everyone did that and ran in some difficulty when this all happened. But like I said, it's an opportunity to learn and grow. So do better next time. And this downturn with our economy could be going on for a while, and maybe it won't, but this could happen again. So be prepared.
The theme of my company is find where your potential thrives. So within your potential, you can do amazing things. Again, the race is not, oh, I found a job. Yay, we're done. It's within here, you can be amazing. Within your potential of finding a job, you can be thriving. So that's kind of what I teach, and what the crutch of like Phoenix career development is personal growth throughout the journey.
Yeah, we're always learning and growing, and maybe what you want in life changes, and maybe what used to be what you thought was your dream job, maybe that's changed over time as you've grown and developed as a person. And I think it's okay to try new things and, explore those things and not feel like you're stuck in that job and, oh, I've invested 10, 20 years in that career. Be okay with change.
Yeah.
Try something new.
I thought my dream job was being an employment specialist. And then I kind of killed my dream because I'm like, oh, we're done now. I'm an employment specialist. But then I got a heart condition because I didn't have any like mission, value, purpose in my life. So I'm like, oh, I had to reassess my mission, value, and purpose. I had to like think grandeur. So that's why I'm like, the only cooler thing than being an employment specialist is running a company where I do like employment specialist. So for me, that was like the next step that made sense. And really understanding your mission, your value, and your purpose in life is a huge thing. Why are you created on earth? And I'm like, oh, that's like a very theoretical question.
But that's a big question.
The short answer is to care for other people, to communicate. So like, it doesn't have to be so hard, but we are created as a network of people to care about other people. Like, that's why my company also, sense of purpose. You already know your sense of purpose, but I just refine it a little bit for you. I always ask questions. I'm not going to give you the answer. I'm going to ask the awkward questions for you. My programming is actually really hard. People get stuck and confused a lot of the time because they're growing, and I'm asking them the tough questions. But all of my clients have the right answers within them. They just need someone like me to guide them along the way. Because I'm never telling you what to do. I'm just asking you difficult questions that you have to answer.
Yeah, and just asking stuff that you haven't necessarily stopped to think about yourself and really dig deep and look at. So sometimes you just need that other person to ask the hard things and guide you. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for watching this webinar today, and all your great questions. As always, if there's anything that we can do, please reach out to either one of us. I'll be putting the contact information on our social media, and then I'll be sharing it out with anyone that has registered as well. This webinar was also being recorded, so I'll be sending out a copy to everyone that's registered. It's also going to go up on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms. So if you want to rewatch it, you can do that, or share it out to anybody that you think might be interested in this topic and maybe just couldn't be a part of the live session. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be doing a lot more of these live webinars. So we'd encourage you to check out our website, stay updated on what is coming up. If you have any suggestions for other webinars you'd like to see, maybe you want to be part of one, again, just reach out to myself and let me know. We love doing these kind of videos. We want to make sure it's topics that are interesting to you. You're going to learn something new. So definitely want to hear your feedback for that. So again, thank you everyone for being a part of this. Thank you, Laurette, for being our guest speaker today. It was lovely having you.
Thank you so much, Sharon. It was a good conversation.
It was very good. I learned so many great things, and I hope everybody else did as well. So thank you very much for your time. All right, everyone, thank you, and have a great lunch and enjoy the rest of your day.